To gather in your name. Each time we come together, we can be gifted with your presence as we also meet the practical matters at hand. We ask that the work of this meeting be a vessel for us to serve one another and you. May the ritual of the agenda be a cause for communion among us. Guide us who serve through this meeting so that our prejudgments and our personal histories do not hinder the purpose of this meeting. We ask this through your Son, our Lord Jesus, who lives with you in the Holy Spirit, now and forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call is going around. It looks like we have all members present this evening. We have a few reports on the agenda. You can see those there. And that'll take us into public comment. Is there any member of the public wishing to speak tonight? Are there any members of the public wishing to speak? Are there any members of the public wishing to speak for a third and final time? All right, seeing none, I will close public input. That takes us to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that supervisors would like to see removed for special consideration? Last call. All right, seeing none, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Supervisor Hacker, second by Supervisor Engelbrecht. No discussion on consent agenda, so the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the consent agenda.
And the consent agenda is approved. So that will take us into our committee reports. We'll start with the Aging and Disability Board, Supervisor Shimalunas.
Gotta get my notes. The ADRC has started to give information in video format to inform people about their activities for the aged and disabled. For example, they showed a beach in Manitowoc that is wheelchair accessible. Something else in which they'd like support, there is legislation that it's called LRB 2924, and they urge you to call the legislators in support of this bill. It requires that facilities who advertise memory care services to have properly trained staff to care for residents with dementia. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Board of Health, Supervisor Metzger.
We met February 12th. The health officer report, we reviewed the performance of the management system, and in the process, we're going to be using the data to improve the organization's performance. Under the Community Health Improvement Plan presentation, information and overall of how CHIP is used and how it connects with the health department, and that they collaborate with the Healthiest Manitowoc County. The environmental health report, we went over the fees, review and action on the resolution adopting the health department fee schedule. We reviewed that with the licensing and inspections. The WIC report, the December caseload was 1,150, January was 1,127, and we will be getting an increase in January from 1,170 to 1,205. The public health nursing report, the overall respiratory illnesses levels across the state are moderate. Influenza activity is starting to decrease. COVID-19 and RSV activity remains stable. There were 17 influenza cases in the hospitalization. Respiratory hygiene kits are available at the health department. Our next meeting will be April 9th at 5 p.m. at the health department. Thank you. End of my report.
Thank you, Supervisor Metzger. Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, Supervisor Falkowski.
No report.
Thank you. Executive Committee, we met, was that last Thursday? We met last Thursday as the Executive Committee to discuss the rules. We met probably, was it an hour and a half, talking about some proposed changes for the rules. Corporation Council kind of drafted some changes for us to take a look at today, earlier today. And so we will meet again as the executive committee to review those, and those will be sent out to the full county boards. That way, if you guys have any objection to any of the things that we looked at, that would be a time for that. And then those will come to the new county board, after the April election. Supervisor Banky?
Are you finished with that? So I just wanted to give a little short report that I attended the Wisconsin Counties Association Legislative Conference last week. A number of different bills, the governor spoke. They had the majority leaders and the minority leaders of both parties in a roundtable discussion. Long-term funding for transportation is probably one of the most important things that the state legislature is going to have to tackle. You've heard lately that they have this surplus of money, that's one-time money that is not the money that will sustain transportation for the future. And the general fund also is not a revenue source that's sustainable to fund transportation long-term. So you will see a lot of that talk coming forward. It was a very good conference. Tomorrow I'll be talking to somebody from the Assembly on Bill 604, which implements Medicaid reentry waiver, giving counties a critical tool to connect individuals to life-saving substance use disorders. So there's a lot of things that the Counties Association is working on presently that is really important to our jobs, whether it be in human services, whether it be in highway, wherever it might be. And it was a very good conference, and looking forward to attending more in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, and thanks for going to that conference for us. I'm going to give it back to you, Expo Ice Center Board.
Not a lot going on with Expo, a lot of the subcommittee are meeting. We're going to be working on some policy, not bylaws, but policy booklet that's going to help the board function in the future. So, Peter, I'm going to be yanking on your ear coming down the line. And otherwise, we're getting ready for the fair. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Supervisor Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a short meeting last week, Monday. First of all, I'd like to give kudos to Supervisor Hacker, Supervisor Grambo, and Supervisor Lillybridge. They do a nice job of going through the bills that come in every month and asking some pretty good questions that keeps JJ on his feet during the meetings. And so I'll give them credit for going through that stuff. Second, we sold a piece of land for $25. It was a piece of land, if you live in the city of Manitowoc, it's next to the old Shooties Park, we used to call it. I think now they call it Riverview Park. But there was a house on that piece of land that got torn down. It was in bad shape. And the land, according to, it's not quite as big as a basketball court. It's a very small piece of land. We had about $1,200 into it from cutting the grass and taking care of it. So a gentleman offered to buy it for $25, and we sold it. And he's gonna, he lives in that neighborhood, and he's gonna park some of his equipment there. But it's probably the best price. It's the lowest price we've ever sold anything for. But again, it wasn't big enough that you could have built another home there. It was pretty small. So that's back on the tax rolls. A little report on the sales tax. We're 7 million plus right now, and for the first year. And the executive said, with some luck, we may get to 8 million for a year. So that's where the sales tax is. The other thing we did talk about was the budget meetings that we had last year, and it was everything was kind of crammed together to get everything done before we voted on the budget. And we talked about coming up with a different schedule. We might have to hold meetings when you don't want them, but at least you'll get more time to plan rather than the way we had to get everything done within, I think, a week and a half or 2 weeks with the new schedule and the new way we're doing things. So look for that in the fall as you look at your budget. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Just to comment on the the schedule. That's one of the things we discussed at the executive committee. And I think we put a proposed rule change that any committee that has budget oversight would be required to meet under our rules after the budget is proposed by the county executive and before we vote on it in November. So some pre-planning, I think, will help kind of clear up some of that congestion. Highway Committee, Supervisor Banky.
No report. We did not meet this month. We will meet before the county board March 17th, prior to next county board meeting in March.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein, Human Services Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Human Services Department Board met on January 22nd. As is the custom at monthly board meetings, an education topic was presented to focus on a specific function. This month it was CCS, Comprehensive Community Services. This is a state mandated program. Its stated function is a psychosocial rehabilitative program for all ages who need ongoing services for mental illness, substance use disorder, or for a dual diagnosis. Most of the participants are children. Typically, clients have severe issues that may lead to inpatient or other expensive treatment that's county-sponsored. We had retirements, resignations, and new hires. It's an ongoing activity within Human Services. The Deputy Director, Jessica Huss, in charge of the Business Operations Division, resigned. Evaluation of the position is being reviewed to determine if it can be restructured and dispersed while attempting to trim budget expenditures. 2 psychotherapists in clinical services left. 1 retired, 1 resigned. They're holding open those positions to reduce expenses, at least for this year, and they'll fill them a little bit later on. 2 adult protective services workers retired. These positions were filled immediately as adult protective services referrals are on the rise. Since 2023, referrals are up by 57%. In 2025, 6 staff handled 724 referrals. There's been a national spotlight on fraud within government. All human services personnel are aware of the uptick in people trying to scam the taxpayer via services provided by government agencies. One of our economic support workers uncovered fraud in a case that involved food share and child care assistance. Currently, when a case is suspected, Human Services engages an investigative agency who is retained by the county to do the due diligence and present its findings to the DA office for evaluation and further determination if the said case should be forwarded to a criminal court. This is an ongoing approach. Will be used for any suspected fraudulent activity. Currently, 1 case is pending at the DA's office. And finally, if any long-term stays at either Winnebago or Mendota mental health facilities occur, we want to give you a heads up, as this cost can consume budget money very quickly. Currently, we have a patient in Mendota since mid-December and expect him to stay for the near future with a goal to get him stable and move to a long-term care facility within the next 30 to 60 days. That's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Land Conservation Committee and UW Extension Education and Agriculture Committee, Supervisor Ryan Phipps.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. I don't have a report other than we have a meeting coming on Thursday at 4:45. Thank you.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Supervisor Marsh.
Thank you. We met on February 3rd. We did have to correct a resolution, so it was basically a housekeeping resolution. There was a clerical correction on 2025-2026-133. So we took care of that. We also are working on the end of the year payroll for WPPA errors. There were some errors, and we're working with the WPPA on getting that straightened out. We had a discussion on health insurance. Right now, the health insurance, which shows the health plan is running 110% at the 110% level, 10% above the funding level. We're going to be keeping a close watch on that. We are working on a leave of absence policy, which we received the resolution at that meeting, and we will be reviewing it and bringing it probably to the county board next month. We acted on a reinstatement of vacation for an employee. Also, we had a very good presentation on the Economic Support Division. Deb Williquette, the ESS Division Manager, did a fantastic explanation of the Economic Support Division and what is all done. If anybody's interested, get in touch with me and I can have Chris send you a copy of everything, because I think it really explains a lot when we're trying to look at the Human Services Department and how we can save, and we really learned a lot on this. Also, kudos to the Personnel Department, Lori and JJ, for all the work they are putting into trying to find areas in the personnel, in the Human Services Department. I do have a resolution that I am bringing forth. Resolution 2025-2026-147. I so move.
All right, there's a motion on the resolution, second by Supervisor Mink. Any discussion on this resolution?
This is another way of what we're working on to consolidate and cut back on the spending. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, the clerk will conduct the vote.
Supervisors will now vote on the resolution authorizing reallocation of Human Services Department 2 full-time equivalent positions, CST Care Coordinator, Coordinator 2, CLTS Waiver Specialist.
And that resolution is approved. Anything else, Supervisor Marsh?
Our next meeting will be March 3rd.
Thank you. In Park Commission, Supervisor Falkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Planning and Park Commission met on January 26th. On our docket, it included 6 rezone hearings, 5 variance requests, and 1 site plan review. Finishing with procedural duties, we continued with the agenda. Public comment from several attendees stated their opinions about the data center and developments. The commission acted on a rezone request for the following parcels: the Gatke from the town of Cato, Dins from the town of Centerville, Basting from the town of Kasuth, Trimberger from the town of Centerville, Chadres from the town of Two Creeks, and Kudik from the town of Gibson. As under our procedures, the parcels were examined under rezone criteria, plus receiving any testimony and documents of support for each applicant, including them into the record. Following any queries from the commissioners, we concluded each individual's request by determining or approval of the commission. In these cases, all were approved unanimously. These requests are officially finalized on the consent agenda. Next, variance requests for Wiley, Seidel, Kershaw, Bohm, and Morgan. After discussion, and in one case, a live modification, all variances were approved individually unanimously. Lastly, the discussion and possible acceptance of a development plan for the River Point subdivision in Manitowoc. Finally, granting a permit for the Wings Disc Golf Tournament in Cato Falls on July 11th, and a permit for the Lakeshore Ladies Spring Disc Golf Tournament at the Lower Cato Falls at the County Park on May 9th. Our next commission meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, February 23rd. The advisory meeting starts at 3:30 and the hearing starts at 4. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The public safety report will be done by the second vice Supervisor Granville.
Thank you, Supervisor Granbo. Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. The Public Safety Committee met on February 11th at 5 p.m. Sheriff Hartwig was present and offered a brief informational update on the Axon technology implementation, and of course the Axon technology being the body cam, squad cams, interview room cams, all of that. The contract with Axon was signed in November, and most of the equipment has already been delivered. They expect the rest of the equipment to arrive by first and begin installation first in the cars and the interview rooms starting about March 10th. Plan is to have the rest of the equipment installed by the end of March and have everything fully implemented by the end of April. Sheriff Hartwig will provide a more detailed report on this project at the April or May public safety meeting. And then we welcomed our new Register in Probate and Circuit Court Commissioner, Jewel Sharonbrock. She started in her new role in January, but it's not new to the county government. She was previously working in the corporate counsel office for about 8 years, and prior to that was a public defender here for about 6 years. The conversation mostly revolved around the bail setting process, which involves the district attorney recommending the bail amount and then the commissioner actually setting the bail, taking into account things such as the threat to public safety and whether or not the person will actually show up for the future court dates. The bail hearings are held daily and they are open to the public, so anybody could go in there and watch that. The hearings are also live streamed, links on the CCAP website. The next public safety meeting is planned for March 11th in our usual place, and that concludes my report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Supervisor Sigwitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on Wednesday, February 11th. Starting with the solid waste and recycling, Public Works Director Greg Bright reported on the recycling markets, which have stayed steady with a slight uptick in fiber. The buildings and grounds, the Public Works Director Bright provided an update on the status of the 2026 capital projects. The courthouse windows and HVAC project is awaiting final punch list items and closeouts. The window manufacturer is currently reviewing concerns related to window seals. We also learned about a rebate check received from Focus on Energy for several lighting improvements countywide. In the Expo Division, the committee reviewed the calendar of events, 2026 capital projects, and monthly financial reports. The Expo grounds are in good standing. Several capital projects quotes have been signed and awaiting installation. We approved the recommendation from the Expo Board to the County Executive to approve appointment of the new Expo Board member for a vacant seat expiring 12/31 of 26. And the Information Technology Director, Luke Callista, also reported on capital projects, including the replacement of edge and data center switches. A cybersecurity update was provided as well, which continues to shows the county in good standing. We motioned and seconded to not have the cybersecurity report included in the packet unless something changes. Motion carried unanimously. Under Communications, IT Director Callista provided an update on the 2026 capital projects, including the WIPSN Public Safety Radio System. Our next meeting of the Public Works Committee will be scheduled on Wednesday, March 11th, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Hacker, Transportation Coordinating Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Martell. The Transportation Coordinating Committee met January 28th to review fourth quarter and annual 2025 progress and results. We still have an open seat on the TCC for the term ending in April 2026. Please contact me if any of you have suggestions regarding candidates for that role. For the first time since the COVID pandemic, ridership in the fourth quarter of 2025 was lower than that for the same quarter the year before. Be that as it may, overall in 2025, one-way rides increased by 11.6% over 2024. One reason for this may be the collaborative efforts of the mobility manager and ADRC outreach coordinator to identify alternative means of promotion, and these efforts are ongoing. Our grants have been renewed for 2026, and the new replacement bus approved in 2025 has been ordered and is in production. Finally, the TCC operations will undergo an audit in March. This is the first audit since 2021, and we expect to pass with flying colors. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Announcements. So our next meeting is March 17th, same time. Believe it or not, that is going to be our last meeting of this term. So the clerk kindly asks that you bring your binders with all the information that you were given at the start of the term. She'll send out an email to also remind you of that. Are there any other announcements? All right, seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Supervisor Niles? Seeing no objection, we're adjourned. Do I need a second on a motion?